Hi everyone, this is Nandini Sen, and I have with me Kavya and Vimal. We're doing a podcast on freedom formula, starting with procrastination. There are 1,440 minutes in a day. Can you give 60 minutes of your time for your freedom, for your dream? Kavya, let them know what procrastination is. Let our audience know what procrastination is.
Sure. Procrastination is a process where you take a long time. You want to do something, but you're not doing it because you're distracted or you're doing something else, or you're comfortable in your whatever current position you are, and you don't want to take next step.
Yes.
And that's usually we call it as procrastination. So why do people usually do that? Is there are many reasons. Like there are people have fear of failure. So for example, take an example of somebody who wants to start a business, right? So that person wants to start a business, but he or she is not willing to do it, or he's not taking the action. Why? Maybe because they have a fear of failure. They don't know what might come in future. Like if they don't know if they'll get the results or not, right? So they would have checked a lot of business ideas, but they are not taking action to start even one. So that might be one of the reasons, like fear of failure, right?
Yeah.
The second thing is you don't have the clarity of, like, you want to do something. For example, a lot of people, when they come check our business, they think that they have to go live and they have to do a lot of social media stuffs, and they don't even take action to even clarify if that is true or not, right?
Yes.
They just assume things and they just keep procrastinating, thinking that this is not for me, right?
Yeah.
So that's another reason. And there is also like perfectionism and everything. So I think when we talk about procrastination, we'll have to think about why do they do
Absolutely. Why people procrastinate is very, very important.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Vimal, you,
Kavya.
you have any points to add?
Yeah. So I think, wanting to be perfect is a really big factor, right? Because, I mean, if you come from, if you're doing a job, right, you might be in the mind space, or you might be always thinking that, I've got to do something, I've got to do it perfectly,
Yeah.
right? So you don't want to take the first step unless you know that's going to be perfect, right? And we know that uh, sometimes you just got to take an action. Okay, it's not going to be perfect, but that's okay. You can work on it, right? So I think that's also a reason why a lot of people procrastinate.
And we also have to think about like the psychology behind why people procrastinate. People are not doing it because they want to do that, right? Like they want to start a business, but they are not able to do it. Why? Because most of the time it is like we say something like instant gratification versus delayed rewards, right? So you know that when you start a business, and if once it starts working for you, you'll start getting results. But for now, you don't want to take that risk, or you don't want to get into that uncomfortable space.
Yeah.
You just want to like you want, maybe if when you check your phone, for example, right?
Yes.
You just scroll through it, you watch some reels, and you feel like happy at that moment.
Yeah.
Right. So
Absolutely.
that's what people want. So they don't want to get into that risky space or like uncomfortable space and do things now, so that they can get the rewards later. So the delayed rewards is what they're not looking for now.
They want instant gratification.
Yes, instant gratification.
Want instant gratification. It's so much easier just to have a yummy bag of potato crisps
Yeah.
and watch your favorite show, laughing with Kapil Sharma,
Correct.
than thinking about, is my business going to work? What's going to happen?
Yeah, that's painful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very painful.
And a lot of people try to escape from their normal life on the weekends. But if you think of business owners, they take that weekend, like for example, our business can be done by even people who are working at their jobs, right?
Yeah.
So people who are doing in their 9 to 5 can also do this business. But how do they do the business? Is they take their weekends for the business, right? They spend more time on the business on weekends, so that they can work on their jobs in the weekdays, and they can work on weekends on the business. But a lot of people don't want to do that. They want to escape from that 9 to 5 job. Like only in the weekends is when they get time to relax and watch some movies or games and everything. So that's the difference.
Sad
So
but true.
people who have started their business will know that, okay, if I spend my weekends working on my business now, I can have, like, in future all my days will be like weekends, right? Every day can be a weekend for you once your business gives you results.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So in those 1,440 minutes, you'd rather spend that amount of time worrying about am I going to be successful, am I not going to be successful, or eating potato chips whenever you have free time watching your favorite show, then just spending 60 minutes or maybe even 120
Right.
minutes
Yeah.
doing something fruitful for yourself.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It all comes under prioritizing again, right? So,
Yes.
what do you really want? So, do you want instant gratification or do you want your life to be changed in the next few years? That is what you have to prioritize. And, like, again, it's easier for us to say that you have to change, but how do we practice? Like, how do you come out of that procrastination? That's another thing we have to think of, right?
Yeah.
Like, for example, like for example, there's a topic like there's something called Pomodoro technique,
Yes.
where if you set a goal, and if you want to work for it, but you are distracted, you want to check your phone, go through like watch some reels and everything. So what you can do is you can set 25 minutes for it. So one like 25 minutes is called as one Pomodoro. So if you finish one Pomodoro, that is 25 minutes, you can take 5 minutes gap, or like you can relax for 5 minutes. Then again you start another Pomodoro, that is another 25 minutes of work. Like you don't have any distractions. Like you have to keep your phone aside and do the work for 25 minutes. Then you take another 5 minutes gap, right? So
Yeah.
that is how. And then once you take 4 to 5, once you complete 4 to 5 Pomodoros, you can take a long break of 15 to 20 minutes or 30 minutes. So if you do that, maybe I think that will also be helpful to at least go forward. Right?
Absolutely, with small steps. Like in
Yes.
rehab, they do that. So you start with 5 minutes a day, then the next week you do 10 minutes. Build it up, build it up, build it up till you get to the place you want. But you were telling me about the
Yeah,
system.
that's right. So something that you've been procrastinating, work on it for just 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes. Do it for 2 minutes and then drop it and then do something else. So that act of just starting to do something, right, and doing it for 2 minutes, right, that breaks a lot of barriers in your head.
And you were also saying something about agile technique and everything.
Yeah,
right?
it ties
the
in.
IT
Yeah,
profession.
right. It ties in back to this idea of perfection, right? Anything that I do should be
Yeah.
perfect, right? So in the world of software engineering, right, that's why we have methodologies like agile. It's not that you work on something, create the best product in the world for like 6 months, right? You don't have that time, right? Because what will happen is that somebody else will create that, go to market and earn all the
Released
money,
already.
right?
Yeah.
So what agile says is that forget that. Uh, get something good enough, put it in the market, get feedback, work on it, release another version. So every 2 weeks you're releasing a new version, and that's how. So slowly you go from good or just enough to perfect.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So,
They
yeah.
say, yeah. Sorry. They say
Yeah.
that perfect doesn't
It's
exist,
all a
but
matter of starting. That's the thing, taking
Correct.
that first step.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So that's how we can break procrastination. I think just take small steps, start it so that you know, okay, when you're starting to get some results, you'll feel motivated enough to get to the next step, maybe, right?
Right.
So we'll have to break that procrastination somehow, and then we'll have to get into the task. So I think, yeah. And when he spoke about perfectionism, right? Like
Yeah.
a lot of people want things to be perfect. They don't want to do it, like they wouldn't be starting yet, but they just want it to be perfect. So only if you start and do something, you'll know if it is good or not.
That's
right? You're just planning to be perfect,
Yeah.
but you never know if that is going to be perfect or not. Only
It's
if you
just a matter of
start.
showing up. Look, when you're a parent, you don't know if you're going to be successful or not. You're just thrown into the dark, you're thrown into the deep. But you just show up every day for your child. You just show up and you give your best. So the same thing about business, the same thing about anything. You show up
Right.
and give it your best.
Right.
Yeah.
Delayed gratification, right? Just
Yes.
put your head down, work on
Correct.
your thing. You might have to work for long periods of time before you start seeing success. So, I mean, don't run behind instant gratification all the
Yes,
time.
for
Right.
sure.
And you can work out a way where, like your Pomodoro, like you work for that, you
Right.
work long hours, and then every day you do 2, 3 TLC things for yourself.
Hmm.
So, so yeah, your gratification is delayed, but you're also in the moment
Sure.
giving yourself some nice
Yeah,
time.
you have like whenever you do some small task, and if you feel good about it, reward yourself for that.
Exactly.
Right. So
That's right.
that's another thing. Like that can break procrastination too. Like when you're rewarding yourself, like have a like small tea maybe, right? Like
Yeah.
a cup of tea that can help you
Relax you.
boost your mood, for
Yes,
example,
yes,
right? That's another reward that you're giving for like 25 minutes of work that you've put in, right? So
Yeah.
that's another thing. And I think you were also talking about that quadrants that you can make, and like important tasks you can finish off first,
Yes.
all those, right? So
Yeah,
That's
like
right.
my sister does that.
Hmm.
Now she works at her peak best in the morning. So she wakes up at 4 in the morning first and meditates, and sometimes even earlier. And then she'll do all her important work in the day. Like she'll, like talk to people, whatever she needs to do, have her lunch, and by 2 o'clock she's done.
Nice.
And after that, even if she works, but it's not that important priority thing.
Yeah, that Eisenhower matrix.
yes,
Okay.
Eisenhower, yeah.
Matrix, right? So you've got important, not important, and then you got urgent and not urgent. So once you divide your tasks in these four quadrants, right, you can tackle them in different manners,
Yeah.
right?
Last night somebody was telling me that they're nocturnal. So they do their best work at night.
Yeah.
But they figured that out for themselves. So
Yeah.
it's important to figure that out rather than stop everything. You're nocturnal, work at night. You're a morning person, work in the morning. Just champion yourself, what works for you.
Yeah, and like Vimal said, when you make it into quadrants, you're making like you're prioritizing your task, which is urgent and important. So you do that immediately, right? And then you go to the second quadrant, which is urgent but maybe not important, or which is not urgent but it is really important for you to be done. So you schedule it for maybe tomorrow or day after, and you do it then, right? You know it's not urgent, but it's really important for you to be done. So you schedule it, right? So I think there's like the quadrant that actually people can use, so they can actually keep and schedule things and work based on that,
Yeah.
right? So yeah,
Absolutely.
to summarize, Nandini, like procrastination, we learned about like what is procrastination and why people usually procrastinate, and what is the psychology behind it, and then the result, like what you
Yes.
have to do to break that cycle of procrastination.
Do
right?
is very important.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right, so that's it. Don't procrastinate. Start now. Now, next week, we'll be back with another episode of the Freedom Formula.
Thank you.
Bye.